little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Oh Lord, just let it shine. This light of mine, this light of mine. Oh Lord, would you please just let it shine. Take the drama out of my life. Oh Lord, every night the pain ain't right. I wake up at night, I never sleep. 26, 10, and 7, that's just me. Every day I need a little seed. I need a little fresh air, man, I need to breathe. All I know is trauma, all I know is tickets. All I know is no visit, all I know is a mission to get straight up out of prison. Lord have mercy for it. Lord have mercy on my people. Preacher Mary Washington and all my real. Lord have mercy with my people. I pray to God, we really need you. When I was down bad, when things weren't going right, every time I prayed at night, I put my hands up in my face. I said, Lord have mercy, little light of mine. Lord God, please let it shine. It's the drama that I live in my life. I swear to God, I was a bad guy every night. 10 toes down, salute. Everybody suffering, everybody who trying to make a way. Everybody looking for the sky, everybody looking for that piece of pie. In a law library, I know what that feel like. Hoping that somebody get active and involved in your situation. Man, pop your collar and pray. Cause Lord have mercy on my soul. And they make bad guy father get out soon. And the rest of those brothers who be mobbing to child each morning. Oh man, I ain't going to this afternoon. Man, I'ma miss dinner today. I got a couple noodles. Hey, you know what that feel like? Do you know what it is? And if you a victim of a wrongful conviction, suffered and served by Ken Worthy, then I know that you know what that pain feel like. And your mama know what that pain feel like. Your father know what that pain feel like. With that life, let that little shine. Let that light shine, a little light of mine. Bad guy, Doughboy Week, all these great people in this great world of ours. 10 toes down, salute. I appreciate you, bad guy. I appreciate you, we. I appreciate the tech. I appreciate everybody in the studio. We gonna pop off that LV, ooh-wee, cause that's what they be liking to see. But I hope you hear the missing when you see me fresh. Salute. Salute. You do good, bro?
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening on Turning a Moment into a Movement. I am your host, J Love, and thank you for joining us. Just a little bit about turning a moment into a movement. It was birthed from the journey I was on with my son, Jabri, who was wrongly convicted for a crime he didn't do. He was innocent and he went to prison for that crime. And because of that journey with him and everyone I met, including Trisha and a whole lot of other people, birthed this movement. And so here we are, and we're supposed to be kind of sort of on Christmas, summer break, but we're here and with an important conversation. I'm so honored to have these women on with us today. But before we get started, I want to read you our mission statement. Turning a moment into a movement was inspired by the wrongful conviction of Jabri Haycraft and built from the urgent need to create a safe, empowering space for all who have been harmed by injustice. Our mission is to shine a light on wrongful convictions over sentencing and the neglect of those who are mentally ill or medically fragile within the criminal legal system. We are committed to uplifting voices and sharing truths and advocating for those too often silenced. Through education, community organizing, courageous storytelling, we work to disrupt those systems, policies, patterns that fuel injustice, transforming awareness into collective action and turning every moment into a movement for real change. So that's our mission statement. And thank you for joining us. Tonight's conversation is unlike any we had before. For years, we heard from women incarcerated inside Women's Huron Valley facilities We hear for Crystal all the time. We have spoke to other women. We seen reports, the lawsuits, the photographs. We shown the photographs, and we heard the cries for help. But tonight we're hearing from two women who once worked behind those walls. Former employees Andi Allen and Larisha Thornton have chosen to become whistleblowers. They stepped forward to share what they witnessed and why they could no longer remain silent, and why they believe the public deserved to know the truth. So I am so honored to have them tonight. And I want to bring on Trisha first so we can update a little bit about what's going on. Hey, Trisha.
Going on, J Love?
How are you? How are you? How are you?
Blessed in spite of any mess.
And that's right.
A lot of mess going on, but no matter what's going on, what I'm saying, I'm just trying to remain with the posture of gratefulness. Because at the end of the day, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to even be able to have our hand to the plow doing whatever work that it is that we're doing. So yeah, just remaining with that mindset of being blessed and grateful.
Uh, is that Justice all in the video?
It's all in the video. Okay. I'm sorry.
So just catch us up a little bit, Trisha.
So yeah, a lot going on. A lot of breaking news that ain't breaking news. But nevertheless, there has been, I would say, a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Attention on what's going on in Women Huron Valley, and so I'm definitely grateful for that. It saddens me that it took this long, and there are many people that had to die because they couldn't stand listening to the voice of one Black woman. But still just believe that the seeds that have been planted, I ain't gonna call it that, but the Bible, the King James Version says, "One man plant, another man water, and God gives the increase." Right, and so I'm just grateful for the seeds that are continuing to be planted, and different things that are coming up. I will say this though: on Saturday, I was told by someone who used to work there that there had been another death. So I thought that was interesting, I'm like, another death, we hadn't heard anything. And then of course, they deny everything that happens. I did reach out to a couple of elected officials, and then I believe, Jay, I believe you said that you had heard that the individual was on life support. So they didn't actually die, that they were on life support. And that actually was true. I heard a conversation with Miss Mary and the individual's son, who I don't know. I don't want to put the name out there just yet because we don't know if their name is out there yet. But they were on life support. So then we got word today that someone else died. So I don't know if it is the individual who was on life support that passed, or if this is a whole nother person. Of course, anytime we put information out, they always say that, our pages, our Facebook drama, this, that, and the third. But I don't think there's been much of anything that we put out that was not true, because we're getting it blow by blow from the people who are suffering through it. And they keep saying 2 women died in 1 week, and that's just a lie, y'all. There were 4 women that died that week, and there are 2 names. One name we don't know, one name we do know, but there were more than 2 women that died in that 1 week period. And so we also got word from the inside that they are hiding the deaths. They're not pronouncing the women dead on the scene, which, when somebody dies, and I learned this, when somebody dies at home or in a setting that's other than a hospital, then you get what's the name of it? You have to get an autopsy, right? And I don't believe everybody in there is getting autopsies. I really don't. Some people are just getting burnt up, sent back to their families. Some families are able to retrieve bodies. But it's horrific. It's horrific. And that's why I'm grateful for these voices that are with us today, Jay, because unless everybody starts speaking out, nothing's going to change. And so today you are going to hear something that I think is very profound. As a matter of fact, back in 2022, ironically enough, I got a message from Natalie Holbrook at that time, who said that, that she had two women. So shout out to Natalie for introducing me to Andi Allen. And there was another young lady, we won't say her name, she's not on here, but they had began to gather stories from the women. They had began to hear, some of the horrific things that were going on in there. And then Andi made some moves to try to sound the alarm. And then, of course, they walked both women out. So just thankful for their courageousness and pray that they even get some justice for being ousted out of something where they were just trying to help. So, Jay, thank you for this platform and this time. And Larisha as well for standing up and just doing what they're doing, because it's going to be groundbreaking, I believe, in helping the women.
Yes. While you were talking, this message came across. And so I just want to say to Mariah Sky, send us a message at either private message me, or I'm trying to find out or send us a message here.
I believe we got some information on Angela in the stand up, speak out responses, if I'm not mistaken. Their I believe it was their daughter or one of their loved ones that signed in on that. So yeah, please send Jay an email so we can connect with you all.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you were talking about that, Trisha, because Attorney Todd Flood was on Fox 2, and I just want to play a snippet of what he was saying that just so everybody can know we're not the only ones who's saying this.
Back now on the pulse, looking at all things people, power, and politics. Here with their calls for answers after 3 inmates died in the last month at Huron Valley Prison, Attorney Todd Flood. Attorney Todd Flood represents many of the families that have been affected by this. And now we do have a developing piece of this story. We understand in the last few minutes that a fourth woman may have died in this prison. And there's an investigation now into that. So we talked about the 3 for the last few months, and now, or last month or so. Now we're talking about a fourth person. Todd, what do we know about this fourth case right now?
So we've had contact with a couple of the inmates that we visited today, and they gave us the information that another person just passed away, a younger inmate, which obviously takes some investigation because we have to corroborate that she was there and that she passed away, that she received medical treatment, came back. This is a continuous broken record. Medical treatment, comes back from the medical treatment, and they don't, follow up with her. They just basically mistreat her. It's just a broken record, a drumbeat that continues. This is a pandemic, actually, to me anyway.
I don't quite understand how this can happen over and over again, and I'm having a hard time putting my head around it. We've gotten a statement, by the way, from the prison system, from a spokesperson who essentially said for the interest of privacy of the family, they're not going to comment any further. But I would argue to the governor's office and the corrections department to provide someone to give us some human connection here about this terrible thing that's going on here. What gives you, what is it that's going on right now? Is it the system doesn't work? What's happening in that prison in your mind?
I think, candidly, there's a violation of the Constitution when we don't protect the women and a lot of inmates from, batteries, from harm. We treat them, it's unconscionable how we treat them. It shocks the conscience. So we have one client that went in for, she had a lump on her breast. She went in, doctor left a gauze within the surgery. She got infected with sepsis, and the prison just disregarded her, even though she was ailing from this, sepsis. So that, to me, and it's not until much later, she goes and she gets back into the hospital, they have to remove both breasts, right? And you can't make that up. You can't make that up. Now she's sitting within the prison, fighting for her life. I can't tell you how many stories I hear about this. We should be screaming from the mountaintops. We have doctors in the state of Michigan, a lot of friends, your friends, right, that go to foreign countries to volunteer, to give aid, right, and to help those in need. We need that in our backyard.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Jay.
I just needed to pay that because Crystal has been complaining about her breast leaking, and for months, for years, something feeling lumps inside her breast, and they just do not take these women, what's going on with them, serious. But I am going to bring in Andi.
Jay, I don't know if you've seen what I just put in the chat right there, but they were in fact on the list. It says my sister was a juvenile lifer awaiting a court hearing with the Innocence Project. And Lloyd pointed this out, that there are probably about 20-30% of women in there that are wrongfully incarcerated. It says she was put in SEG and later died by suicide alone in SEG. She was left untouched for 30 minutes once she was found, resulting in her eventual death. I believe my sister would be here today if the employees of this prison did their jobs and cared about these prisoners as they do other humans outside of the facility. They are still human after all. Rest in peace, Angela McConnell.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, Andi. So we'll start with
Hi
you,
there.
Larissa. Hey, I think Andi on a little bit of delay. So, Larissa, introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are.
Sorry.
And no problem. Who you are and what did you used to do at Wilmington Valley?
Good evening. My name is Larissa Thornton, and I am a former employee at Women's Huron Valley. I was a teacher's aide, so I worked in the Jennings building, the school, and I had the pleasure of running into a lot of our women and making sure that they have an education at the same time.
Thank you. And Andi, introduce yourself.
So my name is Andi Allen, and I worked at Women's Huron Valley as a counselor and a recovery coach. The pleasure of meeting many, many wonderful women that had great personalities.
Thank you both for joining us this evening. So let's get it all out. Let's get it all out. I know Andi been like, I'm ready to tell. And then I sent Larissa a message and she like, I'm ready. And neither one of y'all knew that I was talking to the other. So let's get with it. Go ahead. Whoever wants to start it off, we could just go. I do have a clip too, and we'll play that later a little bit in the conversation of you guys talking at the oversight hearing. But we'll start with you, Larissa, because I know that you're on the same time. And then Andi, when you hear her stop, you can keeps go. Okay, so go ahead, Larisha.
So, working in the prison was they the gag is you have a wonderful career, right? And that's what I assumed. But I didn't realize until I stepped foot in those doors that a wonderful life meaning meant that I had to basically take the rights of someone else who has already been sentenced. So they're doing their time. And it didn't make sense to me why, as employees, it was our job to make their life harder. And when I mean harder, I mean in the regards of women was left in dire medical need, and they were told to drink water, lay down, it'll be okay. Women begged to go to the hospital, and I heard CEOs say, no, we don't have time, we're understaffed. And then when they did take them to the hospital, they had to wait for hours to even get through the gates. I have watched women through COVID, mind you, because I worked there from 2018 to 2025. So during COVID, when we were all wearing masks, we had these ladies who were wearing homemade masks made by another prison. And not only were they made to wear these masks, but they had to clean walls with mold. They had to clean showers with mold. It was traumatizing to work in. And I know it had to be traumatizing to live in. And knowing that I could get the medical care that I need in the women in there, in the prison, they can't. Nobody listens to them until it's too late. Then you have the CEOs who decide, I want to take money bets on the lives of suicidal inmates because they've attempted suicide so many times that they started taking bets because they didn't think that she would actually go through with it. And when she did, they were shocked and they were mad. They were mad at the fact they lost money because she went through with it. And that's when I started to sound the alarm. I started to talk about how horrible it was to work there. And the number of inmates who are sexually assaulted is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Going back to flood law, they were a part of the body cameras, the body camera lawsuit. And unfortunately, I worked there at the time, but those body cameras were used for more than what they were initially supposed to be used for. Those body cameras were used for strip searches. They would automatically come on if an officer stepped in the shower area. The body cameras were worn 24 hours a day with every CO. I could go on and on.
Oh my goodness. I find it so disgusting that somebody would bet on somebody's life.
Same.
Like who? I don't get what kind of human person would think that was, let's take a bet and see if she kills herself. I'm like,
Exactly.
Andi, what is, some of the things that you just outrage you? Andi is still on the delay.
Is this my mic working okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, Andi.
So real quick before I say anything, can I address Angie McConnell?
Yeah.
So before I was fired, Angie McConnell was in my office, and I knew that she was innocent, and I knew that she should not be there, to the point where I went to a psychologist that worked there and said, tell me about what you know about Angie McConnell. And she says, you mean the one that's innocent? And I said, I think she is. And she goes, I think she is too. Well, anyways, Angie was having a hard time at one point, and the psychologist brought her to my office. And I said, Angie, I said, when you get out of here, you are going to have a lot of money. I said, tell me what you're going to do with that. And she said, I'm going to take my kids to Disneyland. I'm going to buy houses where we can all stay close together. She was making plans for the future. And then she committed suicide. No one in this world, I'm telling you, no one is going to convince me that this woman committed suicide. She was making plans for the future. And when you do that, you are not suicidal. Angie was not suicidal. She was looking forward to getting out and living her life with her kids. There is a cover up when it comes to that. And I wish that they would release more information, because like I said, there is no one that's going to convince me that Angie had committed suicide. Not even a little bit. But I started working at Women's Huron Valley in 2021, and I was thrilled because this is where I wanted to be. Like, my career I'd always said, I want to end up at Women's Huron Valley. I want to work with people when they feel like they're at their lowest, when I can make an impact and help people. Mm-hmm. And the very first red flag that I had was my very first day training, where one guard had told another guard loudly in front of the whole classroom, if you ever use excessive force on someone, let me know, because I'll help you write the report so that it doesn't sound so bad. And when I heard that, I got chills, because I thought, who talks like that? What kind of a person talks like that?
Yeah.
And as I was working there, after a month or so, the women started to trust me. I had told everybody that I came in contact with, I'm here for you. You are my priority. You are why I'm here. I'm on your side. And they would say, the guards this, the guards that. And I would say, to hell with the guard on your side, on their side, for you. And the amount of abuse that was reported to me was cringeworthy. It's stuff that you would see about or see on TV or read about in a book, but you're thinking, this can't happen in real life. This can't happen in real life. But the thing is, it did, and it does, and it continues to happen. They are sexually abused, horribly sexually abused. They are verbally abused. They are neglected. These poor women. And then what kills me is, you fire the whistleblowers, but you keep the abusers. That tells me that there is a problem in there, and there is a problem that they don't want getting out. And I have nothing to lose or nothing to gain by telling my story. I do this because I promised those women, and they told me, they said, Miss Allen, you're going to get fired for what, for being close to us and getting our stories. And I said, that's okay. Tell me your stories so I can pass them along to whoever it is I have to pass them along to. I'll find someone. And they said, you're going to get fired. And I said, I don't care. And I don't regret my decision to come forward about this. I don't regret telling anybody what's happened to these women. And I'm not going to compare these women to animals. But what I do say a lot is, if you take a dog and you lock that dog in a small cage and you abuse them for years and torture them for years, don't open that cage and expect that dog to be a good dog and a loving dog. They're taking very, very angry men who have been let down by friends, by family, by the government. They're locking them in small cages. They're abusing them. And then they are re-releasing them back into the public angrier than they went in. It is their job to help reform. It is not their job to carry out punishments that are ridiculous. They make up their own rules as they go along. If they don't like something, they'll make up a rule about it. There's just that goes on. We could footage. I wish we could FOIA the videos that they have that they record on every day, because people would be shocked, dismayed, and appalled about what goes on in there. And the state, the MDC, Jeremy Howard, Heidi Washington, they have blood on their hands. And eventually they're going to have to answer to that. One day they're going to have to answer for that. When I worked there during COVID, there was no in-person visits. Yet there were so many drugs in the facility that you were going, where are these drugs coming from? How are some of these women overdosing and dying from these overdoses? Because the workers are bringing them in. They're not parachuting drugs over the walls. They're not airdropping drugs into the prison by drones. Drugs are being brought in by the workers, given to the inmates, and then their families are charged astronomical fees. I have to stop for a second because I'm from here. I need just 1 second.
Larisha, I remember you talking about that in the hearing. Go ahead, Trisha.
I was just saying we couldn't hear you, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. You were talking about the drugs in the hearing.
Yes. There was so many drugs being brought in during COVID. There was overdoses daily for like 2 weeks straight. And this is at the beginning of COVID. There's no in-person visits. You couldn't come to the door of the prison unless you work there. But yet and still, women were still just dying. And then I heard that from a lot of women, because my classroom was open door. I allowed the women to just talk to me as freely as they wanted to, because I can't re-sentence them. That's not my job. My job was to listen to them, help them get an education, and just make sure their day was as pleasant as it can be. And it was so sad that the number of employees who made it their daily mission to make sure that inmates were just miserable daily. I mean, there was a couple of officers in particular who would just yell profanities at the women like they were just nothing. And it was disgusting, despicable. And yes, Heidi Washington, Jeremy Howard, and we can go on. And let's say Kyle Kaminsky. They all have blood on their hands. And Kyle Kaminsky gets to sit around and he gets to say, well, I don't really have anything to do with it. And that's not true. That's not true at all. Not only is he the education director, but he is also the liaison between the prisons and Lansing hearings. So.
And what about Keith Barber, the ombudsman?
He's
And you know
pointless.
what drives me crazy? It drives me crazy when they always say, well, the women can file grievances. They can file grievances if they have problems. They can't file grievances. They are they should be allowed to file grievances because that's what they're supposed to do. They can't. This one lady, she wrote a grievance about what was going on with her. She turned it into a guard, and I do not call them COs because they do not deserve that title. I call them guards because that's what they are. She took and turned in her grievance to a guard. That guard read it, took it right over to the guard it was about, and handed it right to him. So that was, they can't. And then when they file grievances, they will lose visitation. They'll lose their phone calls. All of things that, these are not punishments for, because they can make up their own rules as they go along. Yeah. And it sickens me. And you know what? I've heard the way that the guards talk to these women. I remember hearing it and going, oh my God, that is not okay. That's not how you talk to somebody who's been beaten down in life. You don't beat them down further. You lift them up. And and they all know what's going on. Jeremy Howard knows what's going on in that prison. Heidi Washington knows what's going on in that prison. And Gretchen Whitmer knows what's going on in that prison. And shame on them, because their silence speaks volumes. Yes. Absolute volumes. And you can work there, and that's fine and dandy. But if you're going to work there and you're going to keep your mouth shut about stuff that is happening that you're not going to report, you are helping to hide something that needs to be outed. Taxpayers have paid over $300 million in the last decade to rightfully want lawsuits and settlements to prisoners. This $300 million. If you have no empathy for these women, you should at least hear that number and go, oh my God. No wonder the state of Michigan is broke. Little dignity and respect and have ethics. And that's horrendous.
Yeah. Debbie Dingle wrote a letter to Heidi Washington about MDOC. And Congresswoman Dingle received a response back from MDOC, Heidi Washington. And interestingly enough, she highlighted that there weren't that many grievances. And I thought, well, you're right. Because what you're doing is you're putting the women on grievance restriction. First of all, a federal judge cited in March of 2025 that MDOC's grievance process was unconstitutional. So for me, I cannot understand it. And this is, again, it's interesting that the worker who is MDOC can be more powerful than the boss, which is Gretchen Whitmer and the elected officials, the state reps and the senators. How can you be more powerful? Is it MCL 791? If you go read MCL 791, it has so many different provisions in there for MDOC. And Walter Miller led me to look this up. And I think it was .295 that talked about MDOC having the sole authority to dictate investigations. How do you have sole authority to investigate yourself? That is a law. So when I think and I look at this as a law, then that means that our legislators need to be counteracting that with an amendment or a removal of the entire thing. If you read through MCL 791, and mind you, it dates back to 1953. Dates back to 1953, some of the things that are within there. So we already know what was going on in 1953. We already know who was in control in 1953. We already know the mindsets of people in 1953. We got to understand about slave catchers. We understand this is no different than how police were formed and the foundation that they're standing on. The same thing goes for these correctional facilities. They are housing slaves due to the 13th Amendment. And due to these laws and these provisions that have been put in place for them, they are safeguarded. They cannot be touched unless legislators step up to the plate and do their jobs. So how can you say that there are no grievances when in fact you know that you stop women from grieving? They're retaliated against for grieving. You know this. So there are so many things that, unless these things are really handled legislatively, and this is where we've all got to lean into our elected officials. I hear people all say all the time, oh, we waiting on State Rep Wilson. Jimmy Wilson is in his area. Okay, I have a lot to say about that, but it's not just State Rep Wilson's job. It is a job of every elected official in the state of Michigan. And why? Because every woman that goes to prison in the state of Michigan goes to Women Huron Valley. We got to get clear about what's going on here. We can't continue to spin our wheels. Yes, we need to stand up. Yes, we need to rally. Yes, we need to mobilize. We've got to press them to change the laws, because until they do, MDOC will remain an untouchable entity. And that, I believe, is on us. We've got to push for that change legislatively.
I agree.
Yes, I do too. Go ahead, Larissa.
Absolutely.
Oh, go ahead, Andy. Either one.
Well, I was just going to say our elected officials need to be there for these women, and they need to be present. When I worked there are 3 separate occasions that I can remember being on a telecall with people in Lansing begging for help and crying, literally crying. And I was saying, these women need help. Women are dying. I said this in 2021, women are dying. Please send help. And that was met with silence. I emailed Lansing. And then after I emailed Lansing, my supervisor came to me and she says, yeah, don't ever email Lansing again. It didn't work out well for the last person who did it. So I got that threat, and I thought, oh my God, like, are you allowed to, I didn't say, I thought, are you allowed to say that to me? Like, that doesn't seem like something that you report that. You're supposed to go chain of command. They're all about chain of command. But then when you go to chain of command, you hear stuff like turn your head. I've reported stuff and then have been told, turn your head. I have been told, stay in your own lane. And it's sick. It's revolting.
I know one night Trisha and I got a phone call from a young lady who used to work there as a CO. And she said that same thing. She said they told her to put your head down and do your job. Keep your mouth shut. Put your head down. Keep your mouth shut.
And make your money. That's what they said.
Make your money, and that's it.
Your mouth shut and make your money.
Yeah, and go home.
Does human life be wagered at your dollar amount when you are in that facility too? See, yeah, you get to go home, but do you realize what you're taking home with you? Do you realize what you have ingested while you're on the clock? Do you realize that your life is in danger every time you walk through those doors? So while you want to play judge and jury and Lord and God over these women's lives, understand that you yourself are at risk and you put your family at risk. Because guess what? Mold spores travel right along with you. So you're taking them home on your clothes. You're bringing them into your own home atmosphere. So your silence about what's going on will only hurt you too in the end.
And that is so true. That is so, so true.
I want to play another whistleblower. Now, we were minding our own business, and we got this in the email. Just 1 second, you guys.
So it's January 8th, Wednesday. Today, Crystal Clark was on my call out for labs. It's supposed to just be a CMP, a CBC, and an INR because she has a procedure, a cardiology surgery coming up later this month on the 24th. I'm not supposed to tell her about that, which I didn't. I don't. I just said it was the basic stuff. And she said, no, I saw him with Dr. Ellison yesterday. He said that he was going to put in the order after I made it adamant about he needs to draw my labs to check for lead and mold and any type of bacteria, fungus. And so I look up the order and my jaw just dropped. I said, they're there. They have been putting off these blood draws for so long. I read about Crystal Clark before I even started working at Huron Valley. And it wasn't, I just read about it, it's all over the internet about how dirty the place was. I started working there in February, and I found out they did go through a lawsuit, but I don't think anything happened with that. I'm not even sure, but even on my first day, they said there's an inmate named Crystal Clark. She's very mean to staff, and she always have to have an officer with you if you ever have to, be with, draw her blood. Well, after so long, maybe just a few months, I did have to draw her blood, but it didn't say anything about needing an officer. No one, that was just at the first day. It wasn't really, followed up. She saw nurses without officers. I mean, we have an officer in healthcare, so, but yeah, I just thought she'd be, exactly what they said. I thought she'd be mean. I thought she'd, but it wasn't that. And so she was nice to me. I was nice to her, I was professional. And I just kind of said, to myself, I just, I want to be on a fly on the wall and just kind of watch. Just see how is this really what is all over these articles? Is everything that Crystal says true? Well, it's been almost a year now, and I've noticed months ago, I don't even know when the first time I really it hit me, man, they are really, honestly, I think it was June. So I started in February. June, there was I had a urine culture for her, and when it came back, the results didn't look like normal. They didn't I couldn't really even read any results on the order. So I'm like, man, that was the first, is this some conspiracy, for whatever reason? Why would they be doing this to her? It's not even she's not even there for murder, which I'm pretty sure she's there for robbery. And I think she was just in the car. And why are they so out to get her? Why are they covering things up? And so, after that, I'm just all right, well, that could be something. Let's just, keep watching and seeing. And then she'd come in and I'd be drawing her blood, but it was for basic things, a CMP and her blood count. Then she's finally showed me her ears, and it's it was joked about with the staff, Don Jones, Suzanne Jones is her name. She's the director of nursing. And she'd be in a staff meeting, she was if I said, Khalife, who's a RN there, on January 6th, or she would just say some random day, could you tell me what the inside of Crystal Clark's ear looked like? Well, I don't think Khalife could, because everyone in the room laughed. And actually, I think he said, ha, no. Being serious, no, he couldn't. Yeah, but guess what? I could. I think Archer could. They don't have the date memory like I do, or the photographic memory like I do, but I see it, and I've been watching it grow, and it's just I like Dr. Ellison, as a person. I think he's a good doctor, but why is he doing this? I don't know. I feel something is deeper going on, behind the scenes, and it's talked about just amongst them, just upper management. I don't know, but I have been seeing it. Nurses have quit. Crystal have said, yeah, all these people have quit because they see what's happening. Well, I have to take care of my family. I can't just quit because they're just doing whatever to just one person. Who knows who else they're this with? I mean, I know that there's 2,000 inmates there, and yeah, they don't get the best medical care, but honestly, they do, because just like Kabani said today, Baczynski is getting a shot that cost $150,000 a year for her MS. She's a lifer, and they're slowing down her MS. Well, she couldn't get that if she was outside. So I know they do care, and they are helping people, but why are they doing this to Crystal? Dr. Purnell told me I should write a book, and I've been thinking I should write a book called Inside the Walls, or Inside These Walls, or I thought of a good book name the other day. But so I can't wait to see these results come back, and I just wanted to say this or record this so I can look back on it later. God, I hope I don't need it, but I have a feeling I do. I will. But
So that was a young lady who used to work at Huron Valley, and what she was describing was horrific. But it also confirms a lot of things Crystal had been speaking about how some of the employees would talk to her, or they already know about her and treat her aggressively because of whatever's been told to them that she's aggressive. And I'm like, this lady on a walker that's sick is aggressive. But when I heard that, it confirmed a lot of the things that Crystal was saying. And so, especially with Don Jones, always gaslighting her. When you sitting somewhere making jokes and amongst the staff, hee hee ha ha, and then you see her and gaslight her, and then tell her, oh, what was that they called what she had, Trisha?
They
They
said,
made up
yeah,
some.
Mirtha. They said her ears was dirty. They said, Jay, but you know what? Listening to that, it just connected another dot for me. The ombudsman, because see, we kept pushing Senator Irwin, which would cause them to go to the ombudsman. It was this vicious cycle back and forth. We tell them, they tell him, he tell them nothing, they come back, tell us nothing, to the point where I said, stop telling me what they said without telling me what you said, the evidence that we gave you. What was the pushback to these lies? But anyways, one day we got an email. It was an email that had been forwarded to us that was a response from the chief medical officer, who stated that Crystal had no reinfection of mold. Okay? Literally, blatantly, this was the date. I remember it like it was yesterday. The date on the letter was May the 6th, 2025. Carmen Lyon McIntyre had the nerve to write to the ombudsman, but there was no reinfection. Well, you want to know why? That the test results showed no reinfection because they were manipulating the test results, and the young lady just confirmed that. She just confirmed that they were manipulating those results. So that's why they said, oh, there's no mold here. Look at this test. There's no mold. But let me tell you something about mold. It don't go away unless it's treated. And mold that has been exacerbating just years and years and years, that don't go away easy. When you think about mold and MRSA and some of this stuff had to even be cut out of people's bodies. Okay? So that's not just going to go away like that. And then we talked about sepsis earlier, and Todd Flood talked about sepsis, and I want to point this out. Sepsis is also a symptom of invasive aspergillus, meaning that someone that is living with mold consistently in their bodies can be susceptible to sepsis. Why? Because infection. Or anybody that has MRSA for a long period of time can obtain sepsis. Okay? Anybody that has any infection in that place, it all turns into sepsis. And let's point out that Jennifer Wallace, our dear sister, that was her death diagnosis. It was sepsis. They are killing these women. It is intentional. It is clear that it is on purpose. And we need our elected officials to abolish this MCL 791.295.107. All of them. Okay. It needs to be abolished. MDOC has too much power and it needs to be shrunk down to the ground. They need to be held accountable just like you or I would be if we did some sort of crime, because these are crimes that they are committing.
It is. And the fact that they can investigate themselves is ridiculous to me. If I was working someplace and I was in trouble and I had to investigate myself, like that just makes no sense. We need somebody from the outside, a committee or something from the outside, to go in and to do the inspections and to do the interviewing. The prison has no business doing that because we all know the prison lies. That is what they do. You can tell that I can tell they lie as soon as they release that statement about there is zero tolerance for this or that. And each time I see that statement pop up on a news bulletin, I laugh and go, oh my God, they're full of shit. Absolutely. That's what they lie. They're liars. And the truth is going to come out because, you can fire us, but you'll not shut us up. We're still going to keep talking. You're not going to get rid of us. And, oh, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, I've received phone calls from people who I don't know telling me if I'm going to keep talking about this, that I better get right with God. I'm going to throw that in. Let that sink in for a second.
You know what? I think I had the same thing last week. And
I've been
that
getting the same calls.
one of those guys, Jay, that reached out to him, said that, oh, I saw you driving on live. You better help. God doesn't take your life. And basically said the women dying was an act of God. Like, how y'all gonna get mad because God taking people home? No, God ain't taking. God might be taking people home, but it was because they was murdered by medical neglect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And not only do they investigate themselves, but even when you take it up to internal affairs is still MDOC.
And no, make it make sense. Make it make sense, guys.
Listen, so a lady, an inmate came to me, and I talked about this in the hearing, and she's like, Miss T, I am hurting so bad. I don't understand what's going on. Come to find out, she had a bladder infection, right? She was in the hospital for a couple of days. After that, I was hit with a questionnaire, the start of an investigation over something that didn't even happen. But there was no way for me to defend myself because guess who runs the unions as well? Because the stewards of the unions are also MDOC employees. Okay, so right, so I had no help there. So then I'm like, well, let's just push this out as far as we can go. So it goes to IA, Internal Affairs. I get a letter in the mail, so professional, telling me that my claim was unsubstantiated and that the case was dropped, right?
Makes sense.
So the case was dropped, but it wasn't dropped because the investigation that I had going on with me, they upheld. Not only did they uphold it, but I had to go in front of Jeremy Howard for my hearing, right? So my hearing consisted of a union steward, Jeremy Howard, Kyle Kaminsky, Heather Gay, and myself.
Wow.
And it was kind of like what we got going on right now. It was an online hearing, and afterwards, Jeremy Howard would say, "Well, I find you guilty."
Yeah.
What? Yeah, I find you guilty. So you could either take a day suspension, or you could give us 8 hours of your leave time and just come to work. You decide. Yep. So with the mold, I found out that I have a medical condition called ulcerative colitis. And not only is it from stress, but it's also from mold. Unfortunately, I will be living with this for the rest of my life. And that is so unfortunate for me. So after finding out that I have ulcerative colitis and being off work, trying to figure out how to live with this new health illness that I've never had in my life. So I come back from my FMLA and I was hit with another questionnaire because apparently I was misusing my FMLA because I was sick. And I wasn't sick. The MDOC was saying that I wasn't sick. So, upon coming back from FMLA, Jeremy Howard put me on a PIP, a performance review.
No.
because he didn't believe that I was ill. So now to hear that he is on a medical leave or leave of absence, I am so disheartened to hear that, because I am so sure that he should be a lot stronger than that.
Right.
You know what? I was very disheartened when I heard that he took a leave of absence, because I wanted to be across the street waving at him as they walked him out in handcuffs. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be there when that day came, because I was like, that day's coming. He's going to end up getting arrested for anything, the stuff that he knows that he did nothing about. And I was just praying to God. And then I read he went on leave, and I thought, of course you did, fucking coward.
Exactly.
Of course you did.
Exactly. And plus he knows that he's got Heidi Washington on grounds now, right? And that's a gag in itself, because she's just there for a show.
Yeah.
Because
the other lady passed away while she's there.
Exactly.
She's
She is just
there,
there for
and
a
somebody
show.
still died. So it's not
Exactly.
like her presence is making a big deal around there.
And it's
Because
not, and
besides
it never
that-
has been. I have
Yeah.
seen Heidi Washington so many times throughout my tenure of working at MDOC that I don't have, none of us have enough fingers or toes. And when I tell you that I have emailed the lady about the wrongdoing that went on inside the prison, and I was met with the same thing. Thornton, you should just keep your head down, do your job, and go home. Just that's it. If it's that bad, go buy yourself something nice.
That should be the mission statement.
Exactly.
Wow.
That should be their mission statement. It is.
It really should.
It should be. Just. Oh, do you remember the day that they walked you out?
It was ironically after Trisha said they came with Crystal Clark's paperwork May 5th. My last day was May 2nd, 2025.
Wow.
I remember. Yes. I remember I was in, because I worked in the MAT department, or the MAT program, which is medicated assisted treatment.
I know exactly where you were. You were in the MSI building.
Yes, ma'am. That's exactly where I was. I was there a lot. And I remember, and part of the medical thing that used to bug me was they would run out of medications to give these women. Okay. And if you don't get these medications, you can withdraw. And, and then they would tell me, well, just tell them that there's a state shortage. And I'm like, is there a state shortage? And they said, yeah, there's a state shortage. I went online to the government website that has the list of drugs that are shorted, and it wasn't on there. And I was like, it's not even on here. And she's like, well, just tell them that. No, absolutely not. Just because you can't get your stuff together to give these women the medications that you need, that they need, and you want me to help cover that up? I think not. But I remember the day that we had this MAT meeting, and I was concerned about the abuse, the sexual abuse, the verbal abuse. And the lady, one of the ladies I worked with said, just say it. And there was about 100 people on this meeting, including Mr. Jeremy Howard himself. And they said, does anyone have anything that they need to add? And I said, I do. I need to add that there is physical abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse. They're calling these women horrible names. People are bringing in drugs. And Jeremy Howard instantly came on and goes, whoa, I didn't know anything about this. Did you go to the chain of command? Yeah. And they told me to shut my mouth. Well, I'd be more than happy to help you, sit down with you and talk to you about this. And I want to be there and help you do this. And I was like, oh my God, thanks. After that meeting, I emailed Jeremy Howard minutes after that meeting ended. And I said, thank you so much for wanting to meet with me. I appreciate it. Thank you for wanting to help these women from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Let me know. And I said this, let me know when there's a time I can clear my schedule to make time for you so I can do that. Day 1, I didn't hear back from him. Okay, he's busy. Day 2, okay, he's still busy. Day 3, okay, Jeremy's really busy. Day 4, I'm like, is help gonna come?
by day 7, I was like, oh my God, there is no help coming for these women. There is no help coming. And then I come back to my office. There are 2 women inside my office tearing my office apart. And that's when they said, give me your ID. Here you go. And I remember going, can I help you find something? And they walked me out. And I remember on my way out, I made eye contact with every single person that I saw, because I know they knew I was doing the right thing and that they were selling their soul for a paycheck.
Absolutely. That's why I would not shut up. I would not. Everybody that would listen, I was telling them what was going on. Right before I was fired, and actually, I was fired, and I was actually on a medical leave.
You got fired on your day off, girl.
I was slated to come back to work May 5th. So prior to May 2nd, I was tasked with working in the mailroom and back in the warehouse where they get store that expensive store for nothing, right? Mm-hmm. And I should add that Tony Moore, she needs to go too. She's a part of the problem. So I was given a list from Tony Moore's office of inmates who had refused chow. And I was told, if you refuse chow 3 times, to take you off the list because we don't need to feed you if you're not going to go to chow and eat. One of those names was Crystal Clark. Now, mind you, let me go back. When I first started, I was told that Crystal Clark was mean, rude, disrespectful, this horrible person. And then I heard that nothing was wrong with her. She was faking. Then I heard that she took mold and put it in her ears. What? Yes. And that she was ingesting mold and she was putting it in her nose. And that's how she was making herself sick. Yeah. So moving forward. So on that list, like I said, was Crystal Clark. And they were saying that she hadn't had chow in 3 days. So I asked, why do I have to take her off the list? Isn't she like really sick? Not letting on that I knew what was going on, right? So I met with, well, she's just been in the bed for a couple of days and she just ain't been a child. And we just need to take her off if she's just going to lay in bed. Ma'am, she's sick. What do you expect for her to do? And that was literally April the 29th of 2024. I had this conversation.
Oh, Lord. Do you know what I would like them to address? I would like them to address the situation where they told the lady that was wearing her hijab that if she wanted to eat, she had to take that off. I want them to talk about that because I want answers for her for that. How are you going to force someone who's protecting their beauty to take off their hijab if they want to eat? That is sickening. You know, I might not be that same religion, but I sure as hell have empathy. And that was just degrading to her. Absolutely. You know, and just that's sick stuff. They play sick games, sick mind games.
During mobilizations, I'm sorry. During immobilizations, they had, of course, you know, and the loud buzzing noise, and then they're telling the inmates to go back to their units, and they're telling the employees to go to their designated area. Now, mind you, there are inmates who have seizures. So now you got lights flashing and noise just buzzing. So now we can't go anywhere because we have inmates on the floor and having an active seizure, and we're being told, just leave them there. They're faking. Go to your designated spot. That to me is crazy. Like, they just step over them like they're just nothing. Animals are treated better in the humane society.
Oh yeah, those animals got it good compared to what these girls had it.
I agree. I have seen a lady that was forced to talk to a CEO because she needed to use the bathroom. And he didn't believe she needed to go, as bad as she said she needed to go. So she urinated on herself. Because what else could she do? And she was on the east side and lived on the west side of the compound. So she lived a good walk, 9 minutes away. So she is standing there with literal urine running down her legs, everything just wet. And those pants are so flimsy and so light. And you could just tell, and everybody knew she was embarrassed, because then he looked down at her and he said, oh, I guess you did have to go. So then he let her go. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I compiled a list of guards' names. I don't have those names memorized because they are locked away in a safe at a designated location that is not my home. But I have a list of guards' names who, I've either witnessed them doing stuff, or the women have said, this is what they did. This is where they did it. This is what time they did it. And, this place, I feel like the only way to fix this is for the National Guard to come in. And that's what they need to do. This new warden, I hope to God that she will do right by these women and call in the National Guard for assistance, because I don't know her. I've heard some good things about her, but this prison is way over her head. Like, this prison is over anybody's head. Like, you go in there and it's like the blind leading the blind in there. When I first started there, I had to go find my own office to work out of. I didn't have an office. I had to go find my own office. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. Wait, who runs this place? And it's ran the way they want it run, the way they say it's run. One thing's wrong one day, the next day it's okay, the next day it's wrong, then you're punished, then you lose time with your family. It's the head games they play there is ridiculous. And then they call them crazy. No freaking wonder they're crazy. You guys are making them nutty. Like, this is on you guys. You guys are making them crazy. And that's.
And then they get mad at them and throw them in seg.
Yes.
And then toss their cell and throw everything away. You got CEOs who cut TV cords, radio cords, fan cords, just because they feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it's
their
a power
family can buy them another one. Not even realizing that this person's been in there for 5 years. It took them 5 years to get this TV, right? And you just gonna shake the room because you felt like it. Yeah, and with the new warden that's coming in, I mean, I'm very skeptical because of the fact that they shouldn't bring in a warden from another facility.
You're right.
That doesn't even make good sense. That means she's bringing the same mentality with her, just from a men's location. So now she's coming into a women's facility with a men's perspective. That ain't fair.
You're right.
I know a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I got a message like they was asked that please bring the National Guards, because so much was going on before this lady came in. They were putting people for in SED just because they was asking to go to medical care. They needed meds, go to the med line or whatever. And they were putting them in SED, and then they'll come back and say, "You still sick?" If you say, "Yeah," okay, well, I'll be back. And they'll leave them in there longer. Like, these were the tactics they were using. Literally, we had to, when I got the message, I started calling, our little circle of people, and they got them some help. But I'm just saying, these are the tactics and things they would do. They told Crystal, speaking of crazy, they was just making up a diagnosis for her. They told her she has somatic syndrome, or somatic disorder, some somatic disorder that would say you sick when you're not sick. Like, make it up. I'm like, girl, that ain't even no diagnosis. They would just making up stuff. They would tell her, you could tell whoever you want. You could, and listening to you guys today, I see why they say it. You can tell whoever you want, because nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to happen to us. That's what they say all the time.
You know what's interesting, Jay, is that they was calling her crazy, but in that meeting that they had with her yesterday, they wanted to admit everything. Oh my God! Oh, we want to help you. And she said, "Oh, Dr. Ellison, when I told you what was going on with my heart, you said I was faking. You said I was crazy. But now you're sitting here telling me that when I walk, my heart rate goes up to 150. When I walk, my heart rate is unstable. Now you want to sit here and say, oh no, I don't think you're crazy. Since when? Since when? Let me say this. Everybody ain't lying. That's it. That's the hashtag right there. Everybody ain't lying. I'm sitting here looking at this list right now. This stand up, speak out list. This lady says, I went in 2019, came out in 2025 with autoimmune. I had from prolonged exposure to black mold. I was forced to scrub black mold before inspection. If you refuse to direct order, that's a SEG offense. And because of the lack of treatment, I came out sick, barely able to walk. She said she went on to say she had surgeries since she has come home. And from she was assaulted from a prisoner who I think like slashed her face, took a razor and slashed her. And this said she had an officer do a legal strip search in the women's bathroom in Gladwin without permission. They swept it under the rug. She even goes on to say that she was humiliated due to scabies because she was in with the scabies thing. She also made a report to the state police because in 2022, there was a teacher. It says 2022, they're trying to sweep under the rug their sexual acts and that had to be performed with a robotics teacher. The state police interviewed us a couple of times, but they act like it never happened. I don't even like men, and performing on men, on a teacher. So I didn't have to go to SEG was disgusting. So they're even using the threat of SEG to make the women perform acts on them and with them. Everybody ain't lying. Everybody.
That is what we call rape punishment. That is rape punishment.
Yes. And I actually knew the robotics teacher that she is referring to. Yes. And every word is true. It was so bad that women were exposing him, but because he is a cis white man, who's telling the truth, an inmate or him? So of course they took his word for it. until they couldn't take his word for it anymore because they saw him in a camera when he stood up in a chair to turn the camera around with his pants pulled down. Yeah. Yep.
But still to this day, the police will not answer her calls. How is it that y'all have evidence like this and then you still won't answer this lady's call because she was raped?
Because
Man.
Michigan State Police, you can basically say they are MDOC in itself, because the investigations that go through the Michigan State Police are conducted by internal affairs. So now we're still investigating ourselves, which brings us back to the main point of MDOC feels like, who gonna check me? Because nobody can. We police ourselves. We do what we want to do. That is the motto. That should be their headline. We just do what we want to do. Because MSP works for them. Just a different name.
You're right. You are 100% correct. So what do you guys think is going to take to fix this mess? What's it going to take? How many more women are going to have to die to get this fixed? How many people are going to have to be abused and neglected until we can get this fixed? You know, what's it going to take for them to notice, oh, there is something wrong? You know, because right now they think that we're just disgruntled ex-employees. And that's not the case. You know, I might be crazy, but I am not crazy. And I know what I've seen, and I know what I've heard, and I know what goes on in there. And for them to deny it they're going to have to answer to that one day, whether it be to a court or to a higher power. But they're going to have to answer for all the stuff that they have done. And their time is coming, and it's coming. And I cannot wait to be there for it. Cannot wait.
Their time is here.
I would say they all need to be arrested.
Lock them up.
That's where we need to start. They all should be arrested.
When I worked there, you know, and this is true to God, because I've had people go, "Oh, aren't you scared to work? Aren't you nervous to be around those women?" Honey, it wasn't the women I was afraid of. It was the guards.
That part.
Still to this day, if someone says, wasn't it scary? It was terrifying because of the guards. I have been in the same room with women who have killed people before, and I still was not afraid. But there are certain guards you get around and you're like, oh my God, don't make eye contact. Don't look. Don't mess up. Don't do something. Don't walk the wrong way. Don't say something, because, you know, they set the rules. You know, and when you work in a prison, they treat you, you know, and you're not a CO, they treat you the same way that they would treat someone who resides in that prison.
Absolutely.
So we are not crazy. We know what's going on. We know they know what's going on. I have nothing to lose. I have nothing to win. You know, I want the truth to come out. You know, and when you have nothing to lose or nothing to win, you know, lay it all out, because I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide. And good. Oh, you know what? I finally found out why they fired me. Do you guys want to know the official reason on why they fired me?
What was it?
Because I played the happy birthday song to an inmate. So, because, yeah, but you know, the thing is, the same women clean my office every day. Didn't say anything to them. I heard them talking behind me, and one said, oh, you know, it's my birthday. And I thought, okay, you know, so I YouTubed happy birthday song and played it and kept working. And they were so appreciative, and they didn't talk to me about it, but they were happy and giggling to themselves. And that was their reason for firing me. So you're going to fire me because I played a happy birthday song, but you're not going to fire the people that are bringing in the drugs. It's okay to bring in drugs. It's okay to molest these women, to rape these women, but you can keep those people. But I played happy birthday and I'm out.
Exactly.
Something wrong.
The abusers are given, they are given promotion. And the ones who care, like us, are pushed out because we care. And we're not evil, hateful,
Right.
and vindictive.
Yeah, when you get a job there, you are expected to conform. Like you have
Yes.
to be like this. The good people do not stay. They either quit or they get fired because they're afraid. You know, and the people, the new guards that come in, they either have to treat the inmates like the regular COs treat the inmates, or else they're out. They're cast out. They are gotten rid of. You know, these women can't win. When the women told me that, you know, you're going to get fired, you know, they said, one of them sat and cried and says, you know, please don't get fired because everyone that we have that's good, they take away from us. Everyone we have that's good, they take away. Their job is not to reform. Their job is to punish. And that is not their job.
Crystal says that all the time. When they had a doctor there who was giving the correct diagnosis, telling them that Crystal could die if she stayed in there, he got moved out of that prison. She said it. Every time a good person comes, they leave or get fired. I was listening to a podcast and just the other day, and the young man who won the $307 million lawsuit and from MDLC and Correctional, and he was talking about the lawyers who were talking about it was saying how the good doctors, when they saw what was going on in there, they got the heck out of there immediately. Like, I'm out, because they were fearful that they would lose their license for the things that they were seeing done. They would quit.
Can I tell you the amount of HIPAA violations that goes on in that place? Like, I've witnessed numerous HIPAA violations. One CO that used to check people into the mental health side. If a woman came in and she was on MAT treatment, she would make sure to yell it down the hall. And she had this accent, and you might know who I'm talking about. Oh, you're on the MAT program. That program makes people drug addicts. And she would say it loud enough so the other woman would know what. Yes. Good. And that's the thing. She is such a I don't even know what I'm allowed to say, what I'm not allowed to say. But I mean, whatever I say, they can look on the camera and they can see she said it. And
that's how you know they're hiding stuff, because they record everything.
Oh, yes, they do.
Yet and still, as a matter of fact, Senator Sushing had Jay working relentlessly, asking Crystal, just pressing Crystal about dates and timestamps. And so they're going to pull the cameras. We ain't heard nothing about them cameras yet.
Oh, they're deleting that stuff.
Solitary thing. Yet everything that happens right in front of the cameras. Again, when you allow an entity to police themselves, this is what you get. Somebody say, "Oh, we should FOIA the cameras." FOIA what? You think they don't get rid of that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That stuff was gone yesterday. That stuff was gone the day after. The same day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Marco Law. That's what I was talking about. Marco Law. If you guys want to hear about the $307 million lawsuit, it's called Cases Gone Wild. It's the name of the podcast. And he talks about how corrupt it's you guys are basically saying the same things that they were saying in his videos. They talk about how corrupt it is, how the doctors, barely doctors, they're barely doctors that work for MDOC. They talk about this, it's basically the same thing, but on a medical level. You know, all these surgeries that they're giving people are really just hacking them up, hack jobs. I have heard that, you know, not for them, but from someone else who used to be in the men's facilities. He was saying how a man was had cancer and he had to get one of his testicles removed. And then they removed the wrong one. And so they had to go back and so you literally just throw, you know, this man, you took both of his testicles. How people were just, you know, literally just rotting out and dying in dialysis, you know, it's just horrific. And so when I hate when people say, well, you don't do the crime, or don't do the time, or whatever, don't do the crime, you can't do the time, whatever. We are paying, all of us, viewers, us, everybody, are taxpayers. Your money, if you don't even care about people, you should care about where your money is going. You give MDOC over $2 billion every year, unrestricted funds. That means they can spend it how they want to spend it, right? And they're hacking people up. And then they get incentives. These healthcare companies get incentives for saving money. As a matter of fact, they talk about on this podcast how they have conventions to discuss how they keep people from filing lawsuits without, because they don't document stuff. And so when I was listening to the whistleblower, there's a second video. But when I'm listening to her, she's talking about, that's one of the things she's talking about, how they don't write things down in the record. So, you know, Crystal's, you know, she's saying, hey, you know, this should be in my records because this and this, and it's not there because they're trained to not put stuff there because this keeps them from getting lawsuits. And the same thing, that's how it happens all across the board in these facilities. And even in the men's facilities, we're going to just keep it 100. This is just how MDOC operate across the board. It's just more horrific. Well, I'm not going to say it's more horrific than the men, but the women just have one place to go. They're in this one place, and they're operating it like, I don't know. You said earlier, dogs get treated better, and you're right. Dogs in the dog pound do get treated way better than what's going on in these facilities. But they painted over the mold everywhere. Yes. When we met Linda Stormer, and she said the mold hang down like shag carpet from the showers. This is one of the first videos we did on Huron Valley. She told us this years ago. The showers, the mold was hanging down from the showers like shag carpet and drip on their bodies when they take a shower. We can't make it up. They've been telling us.
Full of mold.
Even in the lawsuit, it talks about how they put up shower curtains in the library to keep the books from being destroyed, and those shower curtains have mold on them.
Yes.
But they'll tell everybody, what lawsuit? We ain't in a lawsuit. Yes, you are. You're in litigation right now. This stuff you're doing for that. You're not doing it because you care about these ladies. If you wasn't had that lawsuit, it'd still be looking the same. That shag carpet of mold would be hanging down right now, and they'll just be cleaning it up when people come in there.
Exactly.
They're doing this because they're in that lawsuit, and they have to show that they're got a plan of cleaning that raggedy place up. And I'm sorry, when people are saying, don't say close down, close that place down and figure it out. It's a death trap.
I'd say move the women and burn it down.
I say move the warden. Get rid of his.
I would say
he's as good as the mold.
Move him to a prison in the thumb. Right? That's where he needs to be.
As someone that lives there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You know what I wonder? Sometimes I found myself thinking this the other day. I was like, I wonder how proud Heidi Washington's parents are of her. Like, I want to know what they think of their kid.
How do you sleep at night, going home, seeing people like that, treating people like that? How is that your career choice, to get up every day and treat people worse than animals? Peter would be out there if it was animals, full of animals. Peter would be out there marching and boycotting. There would be to shut that place down. But we out here and it's a problem. They want to call the state police and all kinds of crazy stuff.
If there's one thing, that place is so corrupt. When they fired me, they had all my stuff, and they said I couldn't have it until they searched it. But the inspector that was going to search it was the same one who allegedly was bringing drugs in the building. And I said, oh my God, they're going to plant drugs in my stuff. Like, they are going to legitimately plant drugs in my stuff. I got up out of bed at like 6 a.m. every single day for like a month and a half, 2 months, did my hair and makeup so my mugshot would look cute. So thank God they never came, but I was sure that was coming.
And I know the exact inspector you were referring to as well.
When they said that the inspector got walked out, some inspectors at Jeremy Howard, and I thought about you, Larissa, when you said the inspectors were bringing the drugs in the mop buckets in the
yes.
And I was like, well, maybe no more mop buckets for you guys.
Wait, the inspectors were walked out?
There were supposedly 2 inspectors and him.
God, praise Jesus.
The new lady brought her inspectors. Her with.
I didn't say it, but I ain't thinking about it.
I ain't saying it. Somebody said the quiet part out loud.
Who just mentioned that name earlier? Somebody mentioned that name earlier that Hardwick is to go, and so Hardwick is the one gone, huh?
That's what it's in the chat.
The quiet part was said out loud.
Man, like, said I can't read the chat.
It was said that she is the queen pin.
I've been
to the medical neglect. When I left, there were no dentists at WHV. Not one dentist on grounds, because all the dentists had quit when they realized that it was a tooth pulling. That's all they did. You had a toothache. Let's just pull the tooth. I mean, that's literally all they did. By the time some of those women left, they didn't have a tooth left in their mouth.
Oh my God. Lloyd is watching on.
Yes, and Jennifer Wallace.
Instagram. And Jennifer Wallace.
Yes.
That was the issue with probably what impacted her death. Because her mom was here, but her mom told me that it's in person that she had an infection. Lloyd is saying, Mr. Howard, no, he's not talking about this. She needed some dental work.
Yeah.
She needed dental work. That's horrific.
Like Trashay just said, everybody can't be lying.
Right.
That's the 100% truth. And that is, and I feel like the truth is going to come out. Well, I mean, the truth is already out because we're talking about it. But, you know, I guess this is going to be a message to the people that work in the prison. You know, come forward and talk about what's happening.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you are just as guilty. And you don't want to be on that side. Come forward and talk about what's happening. You know, you have an obligation to fill to these women. And if you remain silent, then you are part of the problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You just as guilty as the people that's doing it.
Absolutely.
If you're in there feeling some kind of way and not saying that, you're just as bad as the people that's doing the harm.
Yeah.
It's very horrific that these women and men have to live in these kind of conditions on a daily basis. They're being served to cruel and unusual punishment.
We didn't even talk about the child hall and the bags that have not for human consumption.
Yes, I forgot about that. I forgot all about that. That's the thing.
We ain't even talking about the meat that got maggots in it.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about the not for human consumption part.
Yeah.
You know what? I was talking to someone and they were telling me, it wasn't Huron Valley, but they was getting food in prison in California. And she was saying how, it was Shawana, and she was saying how when they dropped off the food that said not fit for human consumption, they had on hazmat suits. But the people who was getting it, the inmates didn't have on hazmat suits. But the people who were delivering the food was delivering food with hazmat suits on. And
I mean,
it's not fit for human
that's not
consumption.
sus.
So they're feeding you garbage, worse than garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And even Rebecca talks about how the water had leeches. I don't know what section she was in. Was she in Gladwin, Trisha?
I think she said the water in the leeches was in the child hall, if I'm not mistaken. But I think
That could have been around the time when the child hall was closed for, I want to say it was about 2 weeks. The child hall was closed and they were making them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Well, now they got the state is in there watching over everything they doing. So they're eating decent right now.
Good.
Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So that means everybody is being fed, because I know when I was there, there would be units that would get the child and there would be no more food left. So they would literally have to go in the freezer and pull them out some Re-Rock and heat it up and give it to them. Re-Rock is food that they have on a plate that looks like the meal that's being served at the time. But for the state's visual, they take that plate and put it in the freezer. So when the state comes and says, hey, what did you eat on Monday? Say, oh, here's the hamburger and the fries and applesauce that they had for dinner. So yeah, they would heat that old Re-Rock up and give it to the inmates who didn't get food. Yeah,
This is crazy. Why are they getting food that says not fit for human consumption? Because
yeah, when you figure
it
out,
because it costs $2 and $12.57 a day or something like that. It's because of the price.
Somebody had those facts that they're feeding them for $1.
I think Lloyd said it. It was like $2 a day or less than $2 a day.
I mean,
yeah, if you want to eat good, you have to have money for commissary.
Absolutely. And one thing I had never known about ever, if it wasn't for WHV, is one ply toilet paper. I didn't even know they made one ply toilet paper.
What?
Yes. One ply. Never in my life.
You know, I would like to know where the like I would like to see papers on where the budget is going to.
That's
I want to
Tony
see
Moore.
what.
That's the lady I
There's
said
no
you needed to go
oversight,
with.
so there's no way to know what they're doing,
Yeah,
who they're buying it from,
there's nothing.
how much they're spending. And Louis saying no one cares. You're right, and no one cares. And they know. This is one thing that I listened to someone say just recently. The reason why they get away with this stuff because no one cares. The public don't care, and it's sad only until something happens to their loved one.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? The public should care, because when the women eventually get out, and when you're abused for so long, you're not getting out, and you're not right. I mean, you are angry and you hate the world. So they should be concerned, because the women that they're letting out, they're not reformed. They've just been abused, mistreated, and neglected for a number of years, and now they're giving them back to the public. So the people should care.
Absolutely.
The people should 100% care.
Yeah, they should.
Absolutely.
Yes, because it affects all of us.
It does.
And MDOC will go to the legislator and ask for more millions for this program, or I need more money for this program, and well, what are y'all doing with the $2 billion? You're only spending probably about $500,000 on that garbage food. So
that
right?
Can we?
Go ahead.
Can we talk about the construction that's been going on for 5 years, but nothing ever gets built? What's that about?
20.
Well, they have to do that because the building. So we heard that the building was once condemned, and so in order for them to keep the building open, they have to have it has to be under construction. So there's nothing's been done there. I heard there's a crane on site to make it appear as if they have been doing construction, but I don't know. Have y'all seen any construction in there?
Not once while I was there, not once afterward.
That's their construction.
An attorney told me that crane been on that place for 20 years. And
it's probably like one of those blow up cranes. Like they just put like air in it, it blows up, and it's not even a real crane. Totally joking when I say that. That's a lie when I say that. But there's a damn crane that's been there for years. It does nothing.
It has.
Because I have been told by so many people that that building was condemned, and in order to keep a condemned building open in the state of Michigan, it has to be going through some type of construction. So if it's leaking in there every time it rains, if the rain comes through the roof, like it looks like coffee, it's dark like coffee. If there's holes in the roof, if the windows are so old that when it gets cold outside, it's cold in there. If the ventilation is bad, if everything is rusted, it's all in the lawsuit. Everything I'm saying, we're not making this up. If anybody want to read the class action, it's the class action is about the building conditions, right? And it's saying everything that's wrong with this place. So that fake crane being out there every day, you got up there making it look like you're doing something. You're not doing anything, and it's telling because the wind is making people sick.
Exactly. There was something else I found weird. When you pull into the parking lot, if you have your GPS in your car, and it's literally on GPS and you can see everything around you, I don't know where this is located, but there's a cemetery behind the prison. Behind WHV, there's a cemetery. But where is it?
What?
Where is it?
Wow.
I just know that
I'm scared of that one. Who's in that cemetery?
Exactly. I know for a fact that when women would pass away, they would prop them up, open their eyes to make it look like they were still alive, to put them in the ambulance. And then the ambulance would leave grounds running full code. And the lady is already deceased. Yes.
So they can say they didn't die and then they died at the hospital.
Exactly.
mhm. That place is dangerous. It's dangerous, and it has dangerous people working at it, not living in it, working at it.
Absolutely.
And change needs to happen, and it needs to happen now, because I feel like, and I'll tell you, it is really hard to be the voice for women who cannot speak, because when you're the voice, you take risks, you get death threats. But in the long run, for people who are listening, if you have loved ones that are in that prison, if you reach out to them, you tell them that they are still being fought for, that we are still talking about things, that we will not stop talking about things, and they have not been forgotten. They need to know that. They need to 100% know that we will not stop.
And I second that, Andi. They can't shut me up. They couldn't shut me up when I worked there. You ain't shutting me up now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop telling the truth because they won't stop lying.
For real. That's accurate, 100% accurate. It's like, I have a conscience. I have to be able to sleep at night. And if I don't keep talking about what's going on, then there's no sleep for me at night. I'm wide awake, like, oh my God, it's going to be on my conscience. For the people who can sleep at night that work there, is unreal to me, because it's like, do you not have a conscience? Like, what is wrong with you that makes you not want to, like, you see another human being in pain and agony and their mental health is deteriorating, and that doesn't tug at heartstrings, regardless of what they did. They are not their crime. They may have made stupid choices and dumb choices and choices that weren't so smart, but you know what? All of us are one bad choice away from being in a cell. Every single person.
That part.
Yeah.
That's the part.
And I want to just say, for families that may watch this now or later, if you got a family member in there, you need to be advocating for them. You need to be
and believe them. Believe them.
Yes.
They have conditioned families to believe that their loved ones are just liars. And nothing that they say is true. But it is true. And the families need to believe their loved ones that's behind those walls.
Yes. Yes.
And I want to say real quick too that if Angie's kids are still in this chat or still in this feed, that your mom was not suicidal and she did not take her own life because she was looking forward to being with you guys, and she was making plans to be with you guys, and she did not do what they said she did. Not a chance.
Yes. Yeah, it's horrific. In there, I just talked to about, someone was telling me about a lady fell off a top bunk, broke her neck, and they won't give her a lower bunk detail. I mean, how do you? I heard about another lady who They don't know how she broke her neck, but they won't let her have on a brace because she can use it for, I'm like, a neck brace for a weapon. I mean, these are the things that goes on, and these people are living in these. You would think they're living in a third world country, and we're talking about Michigan, Ipsy, on the other side of Ann Arbor. This is where this is happening at. You know, every day people go in here and work in these places, and they go through a great deal to cover it up. They'll talk about us. They're going to talk about this that we're talking about now, how we're lying, it's made up, blah, 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 where they know it's the truth. They know it's the truth. People are reaching out every day. People who used to work there are reaching out a little bit at a time, saying, hey, you know, on different platforms, I might have stuff on there and say, hey, I used to work there. I had to quit. It's more in there. It's making me sick. We even met a lady who went in there for an interview. I personally spoke to her. She went there for an interview, and she got so sick when she left that she went straight from Huron Valley to emergency. She's highly allergic to mold. They offered her the job. She said, I can't work there. So she said they sent her an email saying, well, we're going to get air filters and stuff, and you'll have one in your office. So she still got to walk through the halls and place to get into the office. But so you do know that that place is contagious, and to some people, it's deadly. Mm-hmm. It has been deadly. We don't know all the women who have passed away in there. We know the women who families have stood up and told, or people have told, these are my friends, this has happening to them. But what about all the other ones that we don't know about, that nobody has told, that they're covering up, or they're saying, oh, they died at the hospital, or whatever they do. So we're asking people, this is just horrific. And I wanted to play Crystal, but it's just a lot. And I don't, this is heavy, right, as it is. But I just want to say to those that are listening that we have rallies every week on Wednesdays for your loved ones to come out, stand up for you. And we're going to have a big rally coming up on the 4th of July from 11 to 3. Bring your have your family members come out and support your loved ones. Stand up, because we need all hands on deck. This is horrific. Mm-hmm. Everybody is not lying. Hashtag everybody ain't lying. This is a daily occurrence in this place. It's been going on for years. It's systemic because it's going on in the men's facility. This is just how these people operate. You know, my son went to prison, and immediately when he got there, they said he lost his records, right? His medical records. And when they took him to the hospital for something, he was so sick and he had to go to the hospital finally. Once they put him in, because he was going to Henry Ford Health System, his whole medical thing. So you couldn't even deny him because everything came up. But what they did do is try to find the cheapest medicines that they could. But because I was so persistent, and because I had doctors and nurses calling the facility, and because I had Congresswoman and other people helping me advocate for him, he got the things that he needed. He got he had severe Crohn's disease, and he had to have these hour infusions once a month. And so they found medicine that was like the cheapest version of it, but then he had to take other medicines so he won't have all the other symptoms of the negative symptoms of the medicine, instead of giving him the medicine that he was already on. I mean, you can't make it up. And what you were saying about the meds, them running out, they just told Crystal the other day that her medicine had expired and they couldn't give it to her. So we need to call people to get her some for her heart. For her heart. So,
and whose job is that to make sure that they have stuff to give them? Who is failing? A list of people are failing these women. Tons of people are failing these women.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And you know
Because
what? I forget that, we talk about Women's Huron Valley because, you and I work there, we know. But this is not just a WHV problem. Like, this is a problem throughout Michigan. This is a problem throughout the United States.
yes.
Millions and millions and millions of dollars. We're talking, and I just want justice. I just want justice for these women.
Yeah, it's 2026. We cannot keep treating people so inhumane. There's other countries that's doing incarceration on a human level. They're treating people like they're humane. They're actually rehabilitating people. They're bringing in their families. They're going through training. They're coming out a better, productive person. And they're all doing it with inside with their families. They're eating whole, healthy foods. You don't have to treat people like garbage. And this is the basis of America, of slavery, and how they treat people, how they want free labor here. They love free labor here. And so they treat people like worse than cattle, and how warehousing them to do free work instead of giving people a chance for life. You're literally killing them. And if we, the citizens, don't stand up, if we keep on turning our heads, oh, they're in prison, put out of sight, out of mind, it could be you. Easy. It was my son, Easy. He was walking to the gas station. It could be anybody. You could run a light, and it could be you. So we had to do more, and we had to do better. Is there anything you want to say, Andi, before you leave?
Just that I want to make sure that the women know. I made a promise to them. I said, no matter what happens, I will not stop fighting. I just need them to know that I am still out here, and I am, even though I'm not in the prison and they don't see me, I'm still out here and I'm still talking and I'm still working toward a change for them. And I just pass that along to your loved ones. I'm still here.
Yes. Larissa, do you want to have anything, last words before we go?
Yes, and I want to echo what Andi said, and I want my women to know that I told them I was going to stand with them, and I'm not leaving. I'm not going nowhere. The death threats, whatever, right? But I made a promise to the ladies, and I made a promise to myself. And their life is important, and they should be able to live and not be fearful of dying just because they got a sentence to prison.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Because Michigan does not have the death penalty, people.
No.
But they're getting a death sentence every time they go inside of Huron Valley or whatever MDOC facility. Yeah. Too many people turning their heads. Thank you guys for joining me. We might have to do a part 2.
I'm down.
Part 2. Shut up. I'll keep talking.
Same. I got so much to say.
We might have to break it down in categories. It's just so much, but we will be back, guys. We are on break, but we can pop in at any time because that's how it is when you're running your own show. So,
hey, let's go.
I will totally see you guys at the rally on the 4th. It'll be my first protest that I'm allowed to go to. So I'll see you out there on the 4th.
Yes, and we're looking forward to you speaking, Andi, and you, Larissa. We're looking forward to you speaking as well. Yeah. Yes, so we hope. I want to put it up again, July the 4th, 11 o'clock a.m. to 3 p.m. We're going to be at Huron Valley. There's going to be speakers. There's going to be singers. There's going to be chants. There's going to be a whole big production that's going on. So make sure you're there. We're going to have people from in-state, out-of-state. I know they're watching. So we coming, you guys. So we won't be on the little thing that y'all got all blocked off.
Come say hi to us. Come say hi to us.
Don't get mad. Sorry, but y'all won't stand up, so we will.
And that part.
Thank you guys for joining. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll be back soon, turning a moment into a movement. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Just a light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Just a light of mine. Just a light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Oh Lord, just let it shine. This light of mine, this light of mine. Oh Lord, would you please just let it shine. Take the drama out of my life. Oh Lord, every night the pain ain't right. I wake up at night, I never sleep. 26, 10, and 7, that's just me. Every day I need a little seed. I need a little fresh air, man, I need to breathe. All I know is trauma, all I know is tickets. All I know is no visit. All I know is a mission to get straight up out of prison. Lord have mercy for me. Lord have mercy on my people. Preacher Mary Washington and all my real. Lord have mercy with my people. I pray to God, we really need you. When I was down bad, when things weren't going right, every time I prayed at night, I put my hands up in my face. I said, Lord have mercy, little light of mine. Lord God, please let it shine. It's the drama that I live in my life. I swear to God, I was a bad guy every night. 10 toes down, salute. Everybody suffering, everybody who trying to make a way. Everybody looking for the sky, everybody looking for that piece of pie. In a law library, I know what that feel like. Hoping that somebody get active and involved in your situation. Man, pop your collar and pray. Cause Lord have mercy on my soul. And they make bad guy father get out soon. And the rest of those brothers who be mobbing to child each morning. Oh man, I ain't going to this afternoon. Man, I'ma miss dinner today. I got a couple noodles. Hey, you know what that feel like? Yeah, you know what it is. And if you a victim of a wrongful conviction, suffered and served by Ken Worthy, then I know that you know what that pain feel like. And your mama know what that pain feel like. Your father know what that pain feel like. With that light, let that little shine. Let that light shine, a little light of mine. Bad guy, Doughboy Week, all these great people in this great world of ours. 10 toes down, salute. I appreciate you, bad guy. I appreciate you, Week. I appreciate the tech. I appreciate everybody in the studio. We gonna pop off that LV. Ooh-wee. Cause that's what they be liking to see. But I hope you hear the missing when you see me fresh. Salute.